Humanity's biggest dream could be our very last. For as long as we can remember, we've looked up at the stars, but one little red dot in the sky has always grabbed our attention. Mars. The dream is insane, and it's awesome. To take a cold, dead world and turn it into a new Earth. We're talking rivers, forests, and giant cities. The ultimate comeback story for humanity. But what if that story has a terrifying twist? What if our dream of a new home is actually a nightmare waiting to happen? For decades, we've been obsessed with one question. Could we terraform Mars? We've talked about the tech, the money, and how unbelievably hard it would be. But we forgot to ask a much scarier question. Should we? What if the real danger isn't that we'll fail, but that we'll succeed, and accidentally unleash a disaster that follows us home? Before we get to the dangers nobody is talking about, let's just state the obvious. Terraforming Mars is, and I'm not exaggerating, the single biggest and craziest engineering project ever imagined. The problems are huge, and scientists have been pointing them out for years. First, there's no air. The atmosphere on Mars is about 100 times thinner than Earth's, and it's pretty much all carbon dioxide. If you stepped outside without a suit, the low pressure would make the gases in your blood literally bubble, and you'd be dead in seconds. Then there's the cold. The average temperature on Mars is a bone-crushing minus 63 degrees Celsius, or minus 81 Fahrenheit. All the water is frozen solid. To warm the planet up, we'd have to create a runaway greenhouse effect on purpose. People have suggested everything from building thousands of factories to pump out greenhouse gases, to literally nuking the polar ice caps to release the CO2 frozen there. But even that might not work. NASA studies have shown that if we used all the accessible CO2 on Mars, the air pressure would only get to about 1.2% of Earth's, which is nowhere close to what we need. And the biggest problem of all? Mars doesn't have a magnetic field. It lost its protective shield billions of years ago. Without it, the planet gets blasted by solar radiation that would strip away any new atmosphere we build and kill any life on the surface. To fix this, we'd have to build an artificial magnetic field for an entire planet, something that is pure science fiction. These are the huge, famous problems. But they're just logistics. The real dangers, the ones that could come back to bite us here on Earth, are way sneakier. They're the problems that don't come from failing, but from winning. Okay, so let's pretend we actually do it. We solve all those insane problems. We warm the planet, we make air, we build the shield. Mars is alive. But in our greatest moment, we might have just started a countdown to our own destruction back on Earth. The first danger is something you could call ecological blowback. To make Mars livable, we'd have to bring life there, probably genetically engineered microbes and bacteria made to create oxygen and make the soil usable. These little guys would be designed to be tough, to survive in a totally alien world. But life evolves. What happens when these super-engineered microbes, after generations of adapting to Mars, accidentally get brought back to Earth? We have rules to stop us from contaminating Mars and to stop Martian life from contaminating Earth. Everyone's worried about some native Martian bug, but the real threat might be the creatures we create ourselves. An organism we designed to fix Mars could become a super-invasive species on Earth. It could kill our native bacteria, mess up our soil, or create brand new diseases in plants and animals. We'd be fighting an enemy we designed, one our planet has zero defenses against. In a future with constant travel between Earth and Mars, one little mistake, one tiny breach in quarantine, could unleash a plague on our own world, all because we tried to build a new one. The second, and maybe the most immediate danger, is the resource drain. Terraforming a planet would cost trillions upon trillions of dollars. It would take all the money, all the resources, and all the smartest people from every country on Earth working for a century. And every dollar, every rocket, every genius scientist working on Mars is one that isn't working on the massive problems we have right here. Think about it. The tech we need for Mars is literally planet-scale climate control. That same effort could be used to fight climate change on Earth, restore our ecosystems, and clean our oceans. Some people say that trying to get to Mars will create amazing new technologies, but others say it's just a distraction. It creates a moral hazard. The idea of a backup planet could make us lazy about saving our own. Why spend the money and political effort to fix Earth if the richest people think they can just leave for a new one? In our race to get a second chance, we could end up wrecking our first home. This brings us to danger number 3, the Pandora's box scenario. To change Mars's climate, we'd have to invent some insanely powerful technologies, what scientists call geoengineering. We're talking about tools that can control the weather, change the air itself, and block sunlight on a planetary scale. If we get these tools working on Mars, it's a whole new level of power for humanity. But what happens when that tech comes back to Earth? In a perfect world, we'd use these tools for good. But in our world, with competing countries and corporations, they could become the ultimate weapons. Imagine one country creating a drought in another. Imagine a company holding the world's rain for ransom. The same tech that gives life to Mars could be used to wipe out life on Earth. Experts warn that using geoengineering is super unpredictable and could have permanent, devastating side effects. Once you open that box, you can't close it. The power to build a world is also the power to destroy one, and we might not be wise enough to handle it. These are some wild and pretty scary ideas that go against one of our biggest dreams. And finally, that brings us to the fourth and maybe the deepest danger: ethical and social collapse. What happens to society on Earth when there's a new, better world just a rocket ride away? People sell the Mars dream as something that will unite all of us. The reality could be the exact opposite. It could split humanity in two forever. A massive brain drain as our best and brightest leave Earth behind. It would create a new kind of division, a planetary apartheid between the people who can afford to go to the new world and the billions left behind on the old one. This isn't just about money, it's about hope. If the solution to our problems is just to leave, what reason do the powerful have to fix things here? And honestly, do we even have the right to completely rewrite another planet? Even if Mars is dead, is it okay to erase its billions of years of history for our own needs? That kind of thinking, that a world is only valuable if it serves us, is exactly what got us into our environmental mess on Earth. Taking that attitude to space doesn't solve our problems, it just makes them bigger. So what's the alternative? Do we just give up on space? No, of course not. But maybe we need a smarter dream. Instead of trying to transform an entire planet, we could adapt to it. We can build incredible self-sustaining habitats on Mars, giant domes or underground cities. This would let us have a human presence there, a backup for our culture and knowledge, without gambling the future of our own planet. But the smartest alternative is also the most obvious one. It will always be easier to fix Earth than to build a new one. The real ultimate project shouldn't be terraforming Mars. It should be re-terraforming Earth, using our genius, our money, and our will to heal the one and only home we have. The dream of a green Mars is powerful. It taps into our deepest desire to explore and to build. But our biggest dreams can hide our biggest blind spots. The mission to terraform Mars, as cool as it sounds, comes with the risk of ecological disaster, draining Earth of its resources, creating dangerous new weapons, and breaking our society apart. We're at a huge crossroads. We can chase a flashy, high-risk fantasy of a new home, and maybe lose our current one in the process. Or we can take all of that energy and intelligence and focus it on protecting the only paradise we've ever known. The choice we make will define us as a species. Maybe the real test isn't whether we're smart enough to conquer new worlds, but whether we're wise enough to save our own. What do you think? Is terraforming Mars a dream worth the insane risks, or is it a dangerous distraction? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. These are some wild and pretty scary ideas that go against one of our biggest dreams. If you believe this is a conversation we absolutely need to be having, and if you're getting value from this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Your support helps us keep asking these huge questions.